Hi everyone, this is Stephen McClernon here, and today I am with Father Jerry Cestare, our associate pastor here at Good Shepherd, and we are at the second Sunday of Lent. So Father Jerry, the first Sunday of Lent, we always read Jesus going into the desert from all the different Gospels, and the second Sunday of Lent is always the Transfiguration. And for some of us, it may be like a hard concept, so what is the Transfiguration kind of all about in the Gospels?
Well, Jesus goes on retreat and begins this enormous process of sharing this new gospel with the people that he loves. And he takes Peter, James, and John on this mountaintop. And basically what he's giving them is a little retreat day. And their experience of Jesus is so profound, and they begin to have clarity of thought that Jesus literally becomes dazzling white, unlike anything they'd ever seen before. And in the process of this transfiguration, Moses and Elijah appear. So what does all this mean? Moses, as you know, is the lawgiver. Elijah, this great prophet. And it suddenly occurs to the apostles, and certainly now to us, that Jesus is the fulfillment of the law and the prophets. So this retreat day is so awesome that they say, why don't we just stay on the mountaintop forever? And we kind of have that experience when we have those moments of clarity, those great days, that retreat moment or that sacramental moment, or maybe even a moment in our family life where everything makes sense. And we say, why can't time just stand still? Jesus, of course, tells them they have to come back down the mountain. But this experience of transfiguration is, I think, something very significant for us, especially in the season of Lent. Jesus goes on retreat this week, the second week of Lent. We're called to deeper introspection. So basically, are we being transfigured? When have we been dazzling white? What are the moments of clarity in our life that change us in a way that we can never go back? For me, as a youth minister for 35 plus years, taking kids on retreat is always a great joy, because most of the time they go very reluctantly. They don't want to be there. They're hoping at least there'll be some good food and maybe they'll have some fun with their friends. And then you watch as the retreat goes on, and those kids almost invariably become dazzling white. They're conforming their lives, their thoughts, their prayers to Christ. And the closer they get to that moment, and many times it happens at one particular point of the retreat, many times when they go to confession or an experience at the Mass or some sharing in a small group, where there's such clarity of thought, there's such a laser focus that they just can never be the same. And they always say on the last day of the retreat, can't we just stay here? Everything is so good here. Well, of course, we can't stay on retreat, but that moment can stay with us. For me, that clarity of thought came in when I was in my fourth year in the seminary. And all the guys that I was with, they were all like holy gods, walking around perfect and floating 3 feet above the ground. And I just felt horrifically normal and ordinary. And I had even thought of possibly leaving, thinking I wasn't up for the task. And my spiritual director sent me on an Ignatian retreat, 30 days in silence. I went kicking and screaming. I didn't want to go. And the first couple of days, I thought I was going to just disappear in the night and never be heard from again. But the longer I gave myself to the experience, the more things became clear, to the point where after 2 weeks, I never wanted to leave. That retreat for me changed my vision of God. It changed the way I pray. It changed my understanding of Scripture. Ignatius always tells us to climb into the story as it's being unfolded. And so for me, it affected my preaching. It affected the way I experience God on a regular basis. And from that moment, things were never the same. In a sense, I'd like to think that maybe a little part of that retreat helped me to be dazzling white. So as we go into this Lenten season, we're supposed to look inside ourselves and see the opportunities that God gives us to be transfigured, like his Son. We become dazzling white the more and more we conform our lives to Christ. Building the kingdom is about others coming together who are dazzling white and feeding that energy, that spirit that can transform and transfigure the world.
Yeah, I like the image of the Transfiguration. Like, there's the sense throughout really the whole Bible of people going up to the mountain, right? Moses, now Jesus and the apostles. And there is something about going up to a mountain And like if you go hiking at like Bear Mountain, whatever, and like surveying everything, you kind of like realize, wow, there's so much more out there than just like me. And that's like kind of what Lent is. Like it's bringing ourselves closer to God, but seeing that I have a part to play in the world, and there's a much bigger picture than just my own like reality. And that's like what you said, like using our gifts to be like Christ to others. Like going up to the mountain, but then we don't stay up there. We eventually have to go back to the people and go back. And that's kind of like what the Easter season is. Like we go on our own spiritual retreat for 40 days. And then Easter Sunday comes, and now we have our mission is like finally like completely like, okay, this is what I can do. These are my gifts. Now it's my responsibility as a Christian to go out and use my gifts and talents and spread the good news in whatever way it means for me. Like it's different for everyone. So I think that's I like that image in the Bible about the mountaintop and then going back down to the world. So it's a nice image. So thank you for sharing that today, Father Jerry.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So we appreciate Father Jerry coming on today to talk about the Transfiguration. And we, again, thank you everyone for watching these videos. And we'll be back next week with the third Sunday of Lent.